Section 8.4 Slope. The slope describes the steepness of a line. It is the ratio of the rise, or the vertical change, to the run, or the horizontal change. Now this sounds more difficult than it actually is. The slope equals rise over run, because remember, a ratio compares two things by division, so we're comparing the rise, or the vertical change. Remember that the y is the vertical, so this is where the y value moves up or down, to the run, or horizontal change. Remember that the x-axis, or the x value, is horizontal, so it moves left or right or left. In this case, the slope is 4 over 2, because we rise 4 and we run 2. That can be simplified to just 2, or even 2 over 1. It wouldn't make a difference. Notice that the slope is the same for any 2 points on the line, so it doesn't matter which points we use, the slope is always going to be 2. In example 1, we're going to use rise and run to find the slope. What is the slope of a ramp that rises 2 inches for every horizontal change of 24 inches? So the slope would equal the rise, which is 2 inches, over the run, which is 24 inches. And if we simplify that, and remember we're going to simplify by dividing by the GCF, so we divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2, then our slope is 1 over 12. Now you try it. In self-check 1, use the rise and the run to find the slope. The bottom of a ladder is placed 4 feet away from a house, and it reaches a height of 16 feet on the side of the house. What is the slope of the ladder? Be sure to put your answer on your answer sheet and simplify if necessary. Another way to find the slope is by using the coordinates of any 2 points on a line. To do this, we use the slope formula. The slope formula is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. In example 2, we will use the slope formula to find a positive slope. In this example, we're given a line with 2 points. There are lots of other points on the line, but they've indicated 2 points for us, and that is 4, 3, and 1, 5. In order to use the slope formula, we need to name our points x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now it doesn't matter which pair you pick to be the 1s and which pair you pick to be the 2s, but they both have to be the same. So for example, in this one we could pick x1, y1 as 4, negative 4, 3, and x2, y2 as 1, 5. Each time that you do these problems, it's helpful if you go ahead and name them and write it next to the points so that you'll know what you're doing when you put the substitute the points into the formula. So when we substitute, y2 is 5 minus y1 is 3 divided by x2 is 1 minus x1 is negative 4. 5 minus 3 is 2, and 1 minus negative 4 is 5. So the slope of this line is positive 2/5. And when you have a positive slope, your line is always going to slope up to the right. Now let's look at one together. In guided practice 2, we'll use the slope formula to find the slope. On this particular graph, they give us 4 different points. We can choose any 2 of those points to use for the slope formula. I'm going to choose 2, 2, and 4, 3. I'm going to go ahead and name them x1, y1, x2, y2. Our formula is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Go ahead and write this formula each time you work a problem to help you to memorize that formula. So let's go ahead and substitute in the information that we know. Y sub 2 is 3 minus y sub 1 is 2. We're going to divide that by x sub 2 is 4 minus x sub 1 is 2. When we simplify, we get 3 minus 2 is 1, and 4 minus 2 is 2. So our slope is 1/2. Now you try one. In self-practice 2, you're going to use the slope formula to find the slope of a line that passes through points 3, 4, and 4, 6. It doesn't give you a graph of the line, just gives you the 2 points. So go ahead and name your 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, substitute the information into the slope formula, and solve. In example 3, we'll work with negative slopes. Once again, you use the slope formula to find the slope of a negative line. They've given us a line and they've indicated 2 different points for us to use, -2, 3, and 1, -1. Once again, we could pick any point on this line to use, but these are the 2 that they've indicated for us. So let's go ahead and name them x1, y1, x2, y2, so we know which point is which. Let's substitute in the information we know, so y2 is -1 minus y1 is 3, divided by x2 is 1 minus x1 is -2. When you simplify, the slope equals -4/3. So when we have a negative slope, our line slopes down to the right. Let's look at one together. In guided practice 3, we'll take the points that they've given us on the line, -2, 3, and 2, -1. We'll name them x1, y1, x2, y2, and we'll go ahead and substitute into our formula y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So y sub 2 is -1 minus y sub 1 is 3 divided by x2 is 2 minus x sub 1, which is -2. If we simplify, 1 minus 3 is -2, and 2 minus -2 is 4, and that can be further simplified to -1/2. So the slope of our line in this example is -1/2. Now you try one. In self-check 3, find the slope of the line that passes through the points 5, -1, and -3, 4. Use the slope formula for this. Make sure you show your work on the back of your notes and put your answer on your notes paper. In example 4, we'll take a look at zero slopes. In this case, we have a line with 2 points, -3, 3, and 2, 3 already marked for us. We'll go ahead and name them x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2, and then substitute this information into our formula. So we get 3 minus 3 divided by 2 minus -3. 3 minus 3 is 0, 2 minus -3 is 5, so m equals 0 because 0 divided by 5 is 0. Here's a tip for you. When the y values are the same in your 2 points, there's going to be a 0 slope. So technically you don't even have to show any work when you remember that when the y values are the same, you're going to have a horizontal line and a 0 slope. In example 5, we'll look at undefined slopes. Once again, we have 2 points. We'll name x1, y1, x2, y2. We substitute the information into the formula, 4 minus 2 over 3 minus 3. 4 minus 2 is 2, 3 minus 3 is 0. Now you might recall from discussing fractions that you cannot have a 0 on the bottom of a fraction, no 0 in the denominator, so m is going to be undefined. One tip for you is when the x values are the same in your 2 points, the slope is going to be undefined and the line is going to be vertical. Now you try it. In self-practice 4 and self-practice 5, use the slope formula to figure out what type of slope you have on these from these 2 points on these 2 lines.